Talk to some folks and get an idea of why they came out today. This is Mike and Donna Greenspan. You guys are native New Yorkers, but you're on vacation from Phoenix, Arizona. What do you think about the resilience of New Yorkers? When you come out today, does it look like things are returning to normal?
It looks to me like things are returning to normal, and it makes me glad to be a New Yorker at heart.
What do you think is going on here? What do you think it's going to take for people to really get their lives back in order here?
Time. I think time. I think we can't forget what happened yesterday. And I think it was wonderful to see the lines at the blood centers. New Yorkers come out. They're resilient.
Thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate it. I'm going to go over here and talk to Heather and Christopher Berry. They're from Charlottesville, Virginia. They have a really interesting story. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Heather, let me ask you, you were supposed to be at the World Trade Center yesterday. What happened?
I spent the entire day on Monday at the World Trade Center, and I didn't get to finish shopping, so we were on our way to the World Trade Center, and a kind lady gave me 2 tickets to see Regis and Kelly live, so we were there instead of at the World Trade Center. So it's a very eerie feeling, just the fact we feel that God was watching over us, and it's very scary.
You could have been there. As someone who is not from New York, as you stand here, you sit here today and you see what's going on, how do you feel? What do you see happening in this city?
I feel people are very despondent here. I feel it's just a very scary, very quiet. But I also do say that I feel like New York, people are coming together with a tremendous amount of love, and and I think that's what will put everyone back together, is the amount of love that everyone is showing. People are really reaching out. So I just think it's just a very, very scary thing. And we cannot get a flight home today to get home to our children, so we have arranged for a driver to get us home. So we just want to get home and kind of just take a break.
I understand.
Life slowly returning to normal for some. As the pain sets in for the relatives of those who died on the ground and on the 4 hijacked planes, CNN's Kira Phillips has taken a look at the human face of this tragedy and later how the story affected her.
At a time like this, we need a shoulder big enough to lean on and cry on. And the only shoulder big enough is God.
I hope I live. I hope I live. She's coming down on me.
Jim Oganowski is looking for God's shoulder.
I ask all of you for your prayers. Or as I refer to him as Brother John.
Jim's brother John was the pilot of American Airlines Flight 11. We, along with Jim, witnessed the horror, but we also can testify to this pilot's strength.
I consider my brother a hero for many reasons. It's hard to explain losing your big brother.
Just one of many heroes we are yet to meet. Rescue teams search deep beneath the rubble for survivors. They're shocked, yet not defeated.
In a time like this, you can't really understand what's going on, but you can scream and holler and cry and be in pain.
America may be under attack. However, Americans are going above the attack on humanity.
I just wanted to do everything I could.
The turnout has been overwhelming.
And so is the death toll. We'll meet more relatives like Jim Oganowski. We'll air more pictures of victims like his brother John. And we'll continue to hear the cries for peace and demand for answers.
Is it hard for you to do that story?
It was very hard. I mean, you know me very well, and I think that was maybe the strength behind the piece, is that we were learning more about these people, and that they're just like you, me, our moms, our dads. And while we're reporting on the details and the destruction, we got to remember the power of the human spirit and just the humanity that exists where we are. And even if we didn't know somebody that was lost in those crashes, it affects us all.
Kind of gets caught right here.
Absolutely. And Lou, I was going through, I was doing all kinds of research and sort of trying to put more faces to these names. And I mean, I was finding people like David Engel. He was executive producer and creator of the NBC sitcom Frasier. A lot of people watch Frasier. They love Frasier. He was one that was on this plane. A group of Washington school children headed for a field trip to the Channel Islands. They were going on an expedition. Gone. en route to an Australian adventure. This was a family, Georgetown professor Leslie Whittington, taking her family on a fellowship to go to Australia and experience life there. And so it puts it all into perspective, and, you know, we need to value family and human life.
If even not directly, my boy's teacher had a friend who worked at the World Trade Center. She got in touch with his relative yesterday who overslept, was unable to make it into work on time, and look what she missed, and there are prayers being said today about that. All right, Kira Phillips, there'll be many more of these stories to tell.
Thanks, Lou.
CNN there. It's now mid-afternoon in New York. We take you back to the painstaking search around the World Trade Center.
We just follow them as far as we can for a second. We noticed on the Pentagon early this morning that in the particular part of the Pentagon which had been attacked, the rescue and research workers, it's up there on the upper right-hand side above over that gash. Someone had raised an American flag. I don't know whether we saw it last night or tonight. We're joined now by Dr. Stephen Warner, who is the... beg your pardon, my notes say differently. Dr. Stephen Garner, who is the Chief Medical Officer at St. Vincent's Hospital, and St. Vincent's is a hospital that just has gone flat out since the very beginning of this. Am I right? It's Dr. Garner?
Yes, Dr. Steve Garner.
Hi, Dr. Garner, and thank you for taking the time. We haven't had a chance to talk to you before, so would you mind very much just going from the beginning? You heard the blast.
Yeah, we actually were in a room discussing what we thought were, you know, at the time, very serious matters, financial matters, and as the discussion ensued, we heard a droning engine very close, almost like a helicopter that was maybe a few feet overhead. And then the next thing we heard was screams, people running in the street screaming help. The executive team ran outside on 7th Avenue and looked. We saw a gaping hole in the trade tower, and immediately the triage disaster plan went into effect.
Would you mind explaining to people again, lest they forget precisely what triage means?
Yes. Triage is an approach to a large-scale disaster in which we attempt to save the most number of patients. So, for example, those mortally wounded, those who have little likelihood of resuscitation would be given the lowest priority. We go after patients who we feel that with medical treatment we can stabilize and save. So we triage them, either the minor injuries, the cuts, the scrapes, and so on, the heart attack, people that we think we can help with stabilization, and those that are just basically beyond, we feel, those who we can help.
And based on those who you're trying to help in every regard, how bad is it when you come face to face with it?
It's the most frustrating process that, you know, you wish you're trained to help people that are hurt, to help people and not to give up, not to play God, that anybody can be saved, and you have to walk away from people who are living, and you just have to, you can't think too much of the process. I think the whole idea of a disaster plan and a triage system is to take the emotions out of the process.
It's a very key component of getting your job done, right?
Yes, you cannot, and you think about it a few days afterwards, and that's the time when the shock sets in.
And how many people have been through your facilities, 26, 27 hours?
We have 8 facilities throughout the city, and we've had about 600 patients. Unfortunately, many of the patients have been the cuts, the scrapes, the burns. The patients that we could really help, that we've admitted, have not made up the majority of that list. We've admitted about 50 patients, and we've seen some horrific things, and actually the great majority seem to be tied to mental anguish associated with this type of tragedy. We had a cameraman yesterday who witnessed the event and had an MI, a heart attack. We had another person who had an aortic aneurysm that was precipitated by hypertension, high blood pressure from the episode. We had a woman who walked all the way from the site to Queens. It's about probably a 20-mile walk into Mary Immaculate Hospital. Had no idea how she got there, walked in just in a daze with abrasions. And the soot, the one common denominator, everybody comes in with this thick white soot, which we have to decontaminate the patients. One of the first things we do is to wash the patient down and to wash the eyes, to wash the face, and to clear the nasal passages.
We have heard many references to people suffering either minor or very serious burns. Have you had a lot of burn patients, and have you got the capacity to treat them?
We send the serious burn patients, and we've had about 8 of them, people who have third-degree burns occupying most of their body, to the Cornell Burn Center. Each person has to know how they can help best in these situations. I know many of our administrators that wanted to help, and they realized that you have to allow the process to go through. There is a plan in effect, and the plan runs smoothly when it's allowed to run. And we at St. Vincent's know that when a person is seriously burned, that there are facilities within the city that can handle these patients in a more effective fashion. That's why we send those seriously ill patients.
And you may have been too, as you said yourself, sort of locked down into doing the immediate job at hand, but you have a sense that, that the city and the hospital system in the city has been able to handle everything that's been thrown at it?
They have been able to handle, and the amount of the number of volunteers have been incredible. The ambulances that have shown up, and ambulances of all faiths. We have the Hatzalah ambulances, which is the very orthodox group that runs an ambulance, coming right down with bringing 100 nurses and volunteering ambulances. I think in one respect, well, we don't know the full magnitude, how our system would be able to handle the full magnitude had thousands of unaccounted for patients been in the category that we could have helped. That's something that's scary and something that I think we have to address as we go forward, as we see new types of situations that we never dealt with before. How does the city merge all of its resources into one collective approach to a disaster like this?
Dr. Garner, you heard Dr. Andrew Feldman. I think you may have heard him just before we come on saying it's worse than you see on television. I think we all know that to be the case, but is that particularly true in your case?
It is worse. There's a smell in the air of burnt flesh, a smell of death that everybody talks about, and the people that have gone home, it's hard to wash it out. It leaves this memory of you see people with arms severed, with a chest totally, you can't recognize it because of blunt injury to the chest, and they've developed collapsed lungs. And then the emotion, when you add that, we have a center of 500, we have a center right now we set up at the New School for patients and also for families who want to find out about loved ones. And the scene at that center is just horrific. They give the name, we look, we can't find the name on the list, and they walk aimlessly in the street. They don't know where to go, and they come back. What should we do?
Dr. Garner, in just about 1 minute, I'm going to have to leave you because the Secretary of State is going to show up and say something. I just have one last question. As you see what you have seen, do you concur with Dr. Feldman that the news is going to get worse, not better?
Unfortunately, the news will get worse.
We're very grateful for you for taking the time to talk to us about this. Dr. Stephen Garner, the Chief Medical Officer at St. Vincent's Hospital in New York, giving us another slice of what life is like much closer to the scene. And you can feel the tension, I think, in Dr. Garner and the depression in Dr. Garner at what he has seen. Clearly a man who has never, as so many people in New York and outside Washington, never seen this thing before, never encountered a disaster of this magnitude. So now